What's up, everybody? You've tuned in to Just Drawz, the podcast that explores hot topics and various experiences among same-gender-loving Black men. In each episode, we offer raw, vulnerable, and stripped-down perspectives to give voice to our frequently overlooked population. Here, we don't just scratch the surface, we dive deep, peeling back the layers of our experiences as well as heteronormative stereotypes. Let's get into this week's episode.
What's up, family? Welcome to Just Drawz, the podcast where we keep it vulnerable,
Raw, stripped down,
and authentically just us. I'm Jeff.
And I'm your boy, Darius, aka DMC.
So, grab a drink.
Or keep your hands on the wheel.
Readjust your support.
And let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
That's right.
All right. All right, so tonight we're coming from the shooting range.
Is that something? Is that some sort of, there's a double entendre going on there? I don't know.
Oh my God, Darius.
Or like an actual shooting range.
Come on now. Think.
I've been
Someone doesn't
all
watch
day.
Shoot Your Shot.
You don't watch the show.
Oh, now I get it.
He's not a shooter. He's not a shooter. Jeff. He's not a shooter.
Okay, I do know about that because I do watch the show and I kind of am a shooter. Okay, got it. Yeah, I've been thinking all day. So,
You might be an oozer. Darius, you might be
I
an
am.
oozer. You're not
Sometimes I am. Yeah, it depends on how. Okay, never mind.
This isn't that type of show, at least not tonight's recording.
We don't know. It might get
all right. So you may have noticed we've got a special guest here. So I'm going to let Darius introduce him for us tonight. So take it off. I'm going to take it up from here.
Take it up, take it off, take it away. All right. So tonight we have a special guest who is here to impart knowledge and wisdom for everyone who is single and mingling or just testing the waters again after a long time. So tonight we have Lamont White, also known as the Gay Dating Coach. The Gay Dating Coach.
All right.
Wow. That was a little dyslexic moment there. The Gay Dating Coach. Yeah. He's the owner of BetterWayToMeet.com.
Gay.
Yeah. The Day Gating. There we go. He is the owner of BetterWayToMeet.com. It's a matchmaking service for gay men in the United States. And you can catch him every Wednesday evening on his live show, which I was completely oblivious to. That's where we were earlier. Shoot Your Shot Wednesday. Right. And this is where singles come on and have the opportunity to slide into the DMs of eligible men who may or may not be in their area. So let's give a Just Drawz welcome to Lamont. And we thank you for being here.
Indeed. Thanks for coming.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. All right. So being that it is 2025, some of us are still single out here. And the purpose of this episode is to get some expertise, on how we need to move this year and beyond to hopefully find our special person or our special people,
person.
Yeah, if you go that way. All right. So we've got some questions and some talking points that we're just going to kind of go through tonight. And, let's have some fun here with this. So one of the first questions that I have is, what are some of the greatest challenges that gay men face in dating today? And how can we overcome them?
Oh, great question. First, like Jeff and Darius, I'll tell you. So I've been a dating coach and matchmaker for over 10 years. And my background is in counseling professionally, working with gay men, particularly couples. So I've seen like the good, the bad, the ugly, the in-between, like what it really takes for two men to meet each other, to have a healthy, thriving relationship. So I know I'm connected to my mission and my passion in life to really help us to be our most authentic selves, and so we can stay in healthy relationships. So I tell you, I've seen it all. I have seen it. I've seen it all.
All right,
that's why you're here.
And professionally. Yes. So you talk about like the challenges that gay men face today in trying to like date. Nobody wants to court anymore. And when I say court, it means literally getting to know each other, trying to woo each other, trying to impress each other, trying to create memories, that you can look back 10 years later and say, I remember our first few dates. We went ice skating or we went painting. No, Netflix and chill. That's what y'all want to do on a first date. No, that is not a date. Like,
that's a hookup.
That is a hookup. Yes, that is a hookup. So I'm trying to change the culture because I don't think there's anything wrong with hookup culture. Love it, have at it. It has a special place in every community, regardless of your sexual orientation, right? But like for gay men who want something serious, you have to court. So that means you have to call, you have to pick the phone up, you have to schedule a date, you have to look for compatibility. I'm gonna pause there because you have to look for compatibility. Too often guys are just trying to have fun and go with the flow, and you forget the reason what you're looking for. If you're looking for a husband, you have to see if this is a good fit, and they don't do that. So I think those are some of the reasons that many gay men face those challenges when they're trying to date.
What happened in the time of courting that it shifted from actually people courting to now wanting this microwave sort of situation?
Yeah. So if you want to meet the person who's going to be authentic, it takes a little time. You want to see them in different seasons. You want to see them in different environments, and you can't have a relationship that's like heat up oodles and noodles, like have those in like 60 seconds, because it's going to be like, you're going to find out you're with the wrong person, right? Because everybody puts their best foot forward on the first few dates if they're smart, right? If they're smart. But you want to see who that person really is, and that takes some time. It takes time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So, question about courting though. So, this is the best environment, quote unquote best, that gay men have been able to date. So have we ever really been able to court?
Well, gay marriage has not really been around for 10 years. In June of this year, yes, gay marriage will have been accessible to all gay men in the United States for about 10 years. So for a long time, marriage was never a vision for most gay men. It really was something that we kept private, separate, secret. So the notion of courting is newer. So that's why I think I'm in business, is because I'm teaching gay men the fundamentals of courting another man, because it's different from courting a woman. It is totally different. There are different rules, there are different expectations. And so many of us, don't know that. So I give some gay men a green pass because they're still learning it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do the guys know that? That it's supposed to
be
different?
Do the guys? No, they think you're supposed to treat another man like a woman. And
right.
That's where the conflict comes in. Because guys are like, wait a minute, sir, I am not a woman. Or others are like, no, treat me like a woman. Yeah. And the guy's like, no, you're a man. I want you to act like a man. And I think that's the challenge when it comes to two gay men dating. You have to figure out what type of relationship you want. And if you haven't literally had time with yourself to say, this is the type of relationship that I want to be in, or this is how I know I want to express love and receive love, you are going to aimlessly, continuously getting into relationships and going on dates, and they're going to fail because you haven't figured out what you want.
Sometimes what people want is what they think a relationship should look like. And I think that's a big problem.
Yeah. It really comes from, what is your foundation? What is your experience? What is your blueprint? Because for many of us, our first blueprint of a romantic relationship is that of our parents.
Heterosexual,
right?
Heteronormative.
And most of us, have heterosexual parents. If you were blessed with same gender loving parents, God bless you, right? So you had a better blueprint. but most of us have that blueprint of our parents, and where probably the dad was the provider, the mom took care of the home, maybe the mom managed the finances and made the dad feel like he managed the finances. But it's the nuances of learning how two men date. And if your perspective is that of a heterosexual one, it can be pretty challenging, because in this new age of gay men, we are liberated. We want different things. We have different expectations. We have a different mantra when it talks about like who we are as gay men. So you have to really ask questions, but more so is state who you are and what you want.
Okay.
Got you.
Okay. It's interesting. You talked about marriage, and before Barack became president, I was in a relationship long term. Long story short, we used to watch Susie Orman on CNBC, and she and her partner, I think Katie, used to always talk about, hey, buy this book, do these processes, make sure you've got power of attorney this, and the DNRs and all that stuff to get all that stuff. So she already kind of had like a blueprint before marriage was a thing, so you could be as close to marriage as possible with a lot more expense and a lot less ease than what straight people were at the time. And I mentioned that because I was thinking that I was on the path in that relationship. It didn't work, but that was definitely something that kind of let me think, okay, there is an end game for me in this situation with this guy. And once that relationship ended and we got more LGBTQ rights, I was thinking, oh, I can actually do this path and it'll be a lot easier for me if I get to that point with someone else.
Yeah. Isn't that horrible that gay men had to like do all those weird legal things just to have equal access and rights to our partners? Like I heard horror stories where like one of the partners might have passed away, and then the family came in and took the house, the car, and they're like, wait a minute, this has been my partner for 10 years. We actually bought this house together and this car together. And it's like the rights, like the power of equal access to the law, like without discrimination, is so important. That's why we look at like, and I hate to talk politics, when you think about who we let into office right now, it is very scary for our community in the ways that they want to roll back the clock to take us back in the days where we had limited rights.
The dark ages.
Yes. Yeah. We just did an episode about that, talking about all of that. So make sure you go check that out. So my question then, we're talking about, to go back to what you were talking about as far as courting. Right now, a lot of what we do as far as dating comes from dating apps. A lot of times people talk about, oh, they're hookup apps, but those aren't the primary purposes for those apps. They're to meet people, but we've turned them into this thing where it's what's up, what you own kind of thing. But what are some tips for finding someone compatible outside of dating apps, especially now that we're in 2025?
Right. So I love dating apps. I think it's possible for people to find their husband and fall in love, go on dates on dating apps. I actually teach guys how to use dating apps in a way where they can find compatible guys that they want to go on dates with. But if using dating apps is not your thing, that is totally fine. That just means you have to get your ass out of the house. You have to like literally go to places where single people are. That's not the only thing you got to do, but you have to approach people.
Okay.
Some gay men do not want to approach other people. They feel like if they stand there, they smile, they look nice, that people should approach them. I say no to that, because that means you allow any and every person to pick you. Like, no, the benefit of you picking another guy is at least you're attracted to him. At least there's something you like about him. if you pick the guy, there's a higher likelihood that there is some type of compatibility there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you got to pick, but you also have to be engaging. Hello, like ask questions. You have to flirt. You have to, be a human, like a human, a real person, where you actually engage, flirt, and then say, "Hey, let me get your number. Let me plan a date." You see all those steps? Yeah, I don't want to do that.
And it's interesting that you say that too, because I was having this conversation with my current boyfriend, and we were talking about how if you're in a friend group, sometimes you have to be the one that makes the plans, because if you don't, then people just kind of like, well, whatever, is Jeff doing something? Is Darius doing something? Sometimes you have to be the one to be like, hey, y'all want to meet up for brunch or something like that? And you have to put in effort. Like I said before in another episode a long time ago, you have to kind of like date your friends. You have to actually go through that process. And it's the same thing when you are dating people. You got to put in some effort, because at the end of the day, it's about building and managing relationships.
Yeah. And if that's a way, because I feel like you've been in my dating coaching classes before. So it sounds like that. But if that's the practice that you need I say that's the muscle of being assertive. Gay men love someone who's assertive. They're like,
he masculine.
Well, you can be femme and be assertive. You can be feminine and assertive, and masculine and assertive. Like, it has nothing to do with that range of being masculine. It's about you saying what the hell you want, right? And guys like, oh, he knows what he wants. That's confidence. That is so attractive on a guy. Yeah.
So I hear everything you're saying, and I agree with all of what you're saying. It's just sometimes there's the extra element there that, okay, you could be all of those things. You could be confident, you could be assertive, you could approach people, and you could even start conversations and stuff like that. But then how do you handle the other side of that when people aren't even trying to acknowledge that you're trying to show that confidence, and you're trying to be assertive, and you're trying to actually put out there exactly what you want?
So you have to take that as a sign that the guy is not interested in you.
Yeah.
And he is not a good fit for you.
Okay.
The whole dating process is you interacting with strangers who you think are attractive to see if they are compatible with you. So if you are doing things that are screaming, I'm trying to get to know you, I'm trying to date you, this is who I am, and he is not picking up what you are putting down, that is all you need to know. You just move the hell on, and you say, hey, well, you know what? It was nice chatting with you. I'm going to get something to drink. And you never talk to that guy ever again.
Okay.
People are wasting their time trying to make people be in a relationship with them, trying to convince people that they are worthy for them. No, you present who you are, you be engaging, and if they can't pick it up, move on.
Yeah. I mean, because it's fun, I guess, being chased, but at the same time, if someone isn't following back, or they're not engaging, like you said, and they're not like giving you any type of interaction, and they basically just kind of, you always be the one to have the text, then it's kind of like, oh, okay, bro, well, toodles. You don't even have to say toodles. You can just be like, all right, well, that's that.
Well, I think you could say, hey, here's the thing, before you end it, you might want to say, seems like I'm the only one who's reaching out. I really enjoy spending time with you. What makes me feel attractive is when you also reach out, when you initiate things. You got something going on? Is there a problem? Like, you hear that? You see how
that is me
you
all
handle
day.
conflict?
That is me
and
all day.
Weird conversations, right? He might say, you know what? I'm depressed about my job. That's why I haven't been doing that, right? There are things that might be going on in someone's life, or there may be not things going on in somebody's life. They might not be interested, but it's okay to talk about the elephants in the room before you move on, instead of just ghosting somebody.
Because a lot of us would have assumed that, oh, he is chasing after somebody else, or there's someone else that he's interested in, not me.
All that
I'm,
stuff in the head,
yes,
all that
yes.
up here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of like, hey, let's talk about the elephant in the room. I've planned the last 3 dates. I continuously call you. You're not reciprocating any of these things. What's going on?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's a conversation. That's not a text message, email, or cryptic post on social media.
Right.
Speak it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And,
They don't like to talk. They don't like to be on the phone.
and I can't be on the phone, and I'd rather just text. And I'm like, well, I can't get to know you via text. And I'm not going to get to know you through a text message conversation. So eventually we need to have some conversations so that we can talk about these things. But that's me all day. I'm usually the one that if I don't see any movement, and especially if I'm really interested in that person, I will ask. I'll say, hey, listen, I'm not trying to be a bother. So if I am being a bother, if this is not something that you're interested in, then that's fine. I have no issue with that. But I have a lot of people, or I've dealt with a lot of people who don't know how to handle that. Like they don't know how to handle the fact that I'm confrontational, and confrontational is not a bad thing. It's like, okay, no, I just need to know what it is or what it's going to be. And if it's not going to be, then that's fine. I'm okay with that. You're not going to hurt my feelings. But I think that's where some people get this idea in their head too, that, oh, I don't want to hurt your feelings by not. And I'm like, no, you're bothering me by not telling me. So
You're totally right, and that's why a lot of people can't get to the relationship stage. They get stuck in that I like you, we talk on the phone, we might have went on one date, and then something weird happens, or someone doesn't like something, and instead of having conflict or talking about something that's uncomfortable, they rather back off instead of navigating that conversation. If you're going to get into a long-term relationship, into a marriage, you best believe you are going to have some uncomfortable conversations. You're going to have some disagreements. You're going to have some arguments. And this is a time that you model how you expect to have those conversations early on, not down the road. It's now.
Managing conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You've kind of talked a little bit about this, and you said that you have a class, or that you teach how guys can improve their dating apps to attract meaningful connections. Are there any nuggets that you can give us about how people can improve their apps or their profiles,
absolutely.
I should say?
Gay men, straight. Yeah. I will tell you, and actually this Saturday I'm doing an in-person workshop where I'm teaching some guys in Atlanta to actually do this. But I will tell you, gay men, straight men have horrible dating profiles, right? We just don't do it the right way. It's always a picture from 1950, a black and white picture, a weird angle, like
a glamour shot,
or like a full-on photo shoot glam, a weird, awkward smile. So I always tell people, have your friends pick some really nice pictures of yourself. If you treat dating apps, I know y'all don't want to do this, I know you don't want to, but it will get you what you want. If you treat dating apps like you use Facebook and Instagram, where you have normal pictures of who you are on there, if you have pictures that show what you like to do for fun, who you are, it's a higher likelihood that guys are going to respond better. Because if I can see or picture myself in your world, then I say, hey, let me see if I can squeeze in there. If you like bike riding, if you like fancy wines, I'm going to invite you out on a date to a winery. I can't know that if you just got a torso picture on your dating profile, right?
Yeah.
So I say, make sure you have great pictures. Fill out the entire profile. Age, height, weight, sexual positions, because no one is wasting their time with two bottoms trying to go on a date. Or two tops sword fighting. It's not going to happen, right? So fill out the whole thing, right? And then list some things in your profile, what you're looking for in a potential mate. Not, I don't want no fats, no femmes. Just say, I'm preferring guys who are athletic, who are like, in a positive tone. That way guys can look at your pictures, your profile description, what you're looking for, and they can eliminate themselves.
And see if what you're saying and what you're showing align.
Yes.
Because
yes,
sometimes what you're saying and what you're showing ain't the same.
It's not the same
Amen,
thing.
brother. Amen. And you know what? And that is okay as long as you are communicating that you're in a different mode. Because sometimes people might want to use dating apps to actually date, and other times they want to use it to hook up. Communicate that to the person that you're having the conversation with.
Yes, I agree. Because one thing that I'll say that when I was on apps and looking for people or just browsing through, when I would see like a negative profile talking about what I don't want this, I don't want that, I don't want that, and I'd be like, who hurt you, man? Because what happened to you?
Somebody.
A lot of somebody's.
It's just it's all this negativity, and like, who wants to sit up there and deal with someone that has this big ass wall up already, and you haven't even sent the first DM? Turn off for me. Now that may be like, oh, I can fix him for somebody else, not me though.
Yeah. And I know we don't have the time to be trying to necessarily fix people. and we shouldn't be doing that. I mean, it's different if there's some compatibility there and you've got some baggage that it's like, okay, hey, I know that we've had these conversations about this and I'm accepting that and I want to continue to move forward with you. But yeah, like you said, Jeff, if you're coming into it already hot and you're like, nah, I don't do this, I don't do that, I don't do this, I don't do that, and that's it, then yeah, what's the point?
Yeah, and I think we all are a work in progress. Like, there are things that we're still, even myself to this day, I'm working on being a better person. And if you expect a perfect person, it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen, right?
It's not going to happen. However, I do feel like you should have some boundaries or some expectations of things that you're like, no, I cannot date a guy who doesn't have a job. Or no, I can't date a guy who, whatever it is. You can have your expectations and move on, but you should have some wiggle room. Like, look at the context of what's going on with the person. If the person is in therapy or, saving money, like has a game plan to improve, I would say give that person a try.
Something that you said that was really interesting to me, and I want to get your take on that. When you were dating, did you ever have people that told you, you say, okay, I'm interested in getting to know you, but then they throw you the line of, well, I'm just working on me right now. Decipher that for me.
Oh, that means you're not interested in me anymore. You changed your mind. You changed your mind. And guess what? That is okay. I think too often people feel like that they are really dating with intention, and then they meet the person and they see one or two or three things that say, I don't think we're a good fit. So instead of saying, I don't think you're a good fit because you're too short, you're too tall, you're too big, you talk too much, or I don't like your mannerisms, or I don't like your views on monogamy. Instead of saying that because you don't want to make that person feel bad, you then say, oh, I still need to work on myself, or I'm too busy. It is okay to say, hey, I thought we might be a good fit, but I don't think we should continue this. Okay. That's a mature conversation.
Right. And it's always funny to me when I used to hear that all the time. And like, it got to a point where I just started laughing. I was just like, okay, well, because my thing is, if you're working on you, like you said, working on you is a continuous process. It's not, if you've arrived at the point of wherever it is that you need no more work, then it's time for you to exit.
Yeah. And you knew that before you wanted to get into a relationship. If you knew you were not financially able to be in a relationship, you should have said that from the door. Hey, I just want to kick it. I still need to go back to school, save some money, pay off some loans. Are you okay with that? Okay. No, people just don't want to have mature conversations.
Is some of that, do you think, because folks don't want to disappoint the other person?
No, they want to have their cake and eat it at the same time.
Okay.
They know that they're not in a financial, mental, physical, whatever place to date. However, you're gorgeous, you smell nice, you have everything going on. They want to at least experience you for a little bit. They just want to. No, you're a great catch. Of course, they want to experience it. They just want a little bit of your time, and I think that's the challenge and why people get burnt out on dating, because they meet people who are not genuine and authentic, and sometimes just burn them. So they're like, no, I keep meeting these scammers or these people who lie about wanting to be in relationships. That I find out they got 100 roommates, or they got all these negative things that are going against them being in a relationship, and they knew that from the beginning, but they still tried the court. So people stop dating.
Okay.
So those people need to stay at home.
Take
themselves out.
I say they should stay out of the dating pool. They can be in the let's kick it crew, but when people who are serious about dating and being in a relationship, they should stay out of that pool. Stay out. Yeah.
I think that's definitely easier said than done. Like you could say that, all right, look, you need to stay out of the dating pool, and then they look at you cross-eyed like, who are you talking to? But
I'm talking to you, sir, ma'am.
Yeah.
I'm talking to
right.
you.
Them, they, him, her, it. Yeah.
Yes, whatever pronoun you use.
Whatever. Yeah. Exactly. What what are some of the identifiable signs? We're kind of in that vein right now, but what are some of the identifiable signs of someone looking for a serious relationship versus someone that's looking for something casual?
Yeah. I think too often we are focused on the fantasy of a relationship and the idea of the person, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So there are times that you might meet someone and, you're trying to figure out, is this just something casual or is this something intentional that I want to go down that road? And instead of looking at their behaviors, we just keep thinking about and repeating in our head over and over again what they're saying. If a guy says he wants to date you intentionally, then he should be calling you. He should be setting up dates. Should be seeing his friends, his family members. At some point, you're meeting coworkers. You're having certain types of conversations about what your future is, what your fears are, your hopes, your dreams. You see all this stuff that these are actions that you have to experience with this person. If you're not experiencing this with the person, you're just kicking it, and it is casual, and that's okay. But give it a name so that you both are on the same page.
Okay.
Yeah.
Name it. And that's a
Claim
problem
it.
that a lot of people have, because that's, what are we? Conversation.
Because if you name it, then you have to be accountable to it.
And I think that's what scares people.
Right. And here's the thing. If you name that we're just kicking it, then you can't get upset if you see me out with somebody else next week.
Right.
Because we already said and we agreed upon what this is and what it is not. I think the problem is with it's always the theme in any relationship, no longer how long you live on this earth, is that things can change. You might, I tell people all this, not all the time, but I share this story. My husband, who I've been with since I was probably like 26 or 27, he was a hookup. That is all he was. Like, he would come over, we would do our do, and it would be done. It wasn't until maybe a month or two later, I looked at him a little different. And I said, hey, do you want to go out on a date? Right?
Yeah.
Things shifted. And I think it's okay for you to communicate, I was just feeling you as a hookup, but you have really good qualities of somebody that I might want to, be in a relationship with. Let's see if we can do this. Instead of forcing someone or putting false expectations on somebody. Yeah.
And that's good because that shows that he was also open to the idea of
Right, right.
y'all being more than just hookup buddies.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, you know, people can feel like, oh, I like this guy. He's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we bump uglies. It's all good. But I feel bad approaching him because all we've done is have sex. And sometimes
Mm-hmm.
people can't get over that hump.
Yeah.
Or they think that the other person doesn't feel that way and then they kind of back off from it
Mm-hmm.
and don't take the step or shoot their shot like you did.
Exactly. And you know, there was a risk that I had to, you know, realize is that if I said, "Hey, I want to go on a date," he could have said, "No, no. What? This is what it is. We're not doing anything else, right?" But I think if you don't take a risk, you will never get a good reward that you want.
Right. You wouldn't have known if you hadn't asked. So it just would have been in that limbo space. So.
It would have stayed in limbo, it would have faded off. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Gotcha. We talked a little bit too about ghosting and just inconsistent communication. What are the best ways to address ghosting and inconsistent communication? Now, I have a way, but I want to hear from the expert.
Yeah, so I think most people ghost you because one, they probably don't have the emotional maturity to say they're no longer interested, right? That's typically what it is. Two is they may be afraid of your response, right? There might be something about you in your interaction with them that they're like, hey, if I tell you I'm no longer interested or things have shifted, you go cuss me out, talk about me on the internet, talk about me to your friends. So instead of having that conflict, it's easier just I'm just not going to call you anymore. I'm going to block you, right? So that's usually what it's about. So if you want to prevent a guy from ghosting you, you have to set an environment, and I know it takes work, where you say, hey, it is okay for you if things change, just let me know. Like if you're no longer interested, you can throw up the church finger, shoot me a text, say, hey, Lamont, I didn't like X, Y, and Z about you. So you have to do that. But also, you can also share with him how you handle conflict during those dating phases, because then that lets him know, oh, I can disagree with you. You're not going to cuss me out, punch me in the face, talk about me on the internet, right?
Yeah. And that kind of goes back to what I meant when I said people don't want to disappoint the other person, because that disappointment could lead to what you just said, the cussing out on the internet, talking about you on the group chat, making that cryptic social media post, all of that.
It's the passive social media post.
Yeah.
You see those.
And all of the emoting that you have to do or that you feel like you have to do online. And it's like, okay, I don't need to know all of this stuff. Like, come on, you're doing this for clicks, views, likes, and attention. And I'm good on that.
Engagement for me.
Hugs. You need hugs.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I'm going to send you praying hands and hearts. And then that's going to be that. So we had an episode.
So Darius, what's your way of... No, because you were about to talk about your way of handling ghosting.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty straightforward about it. So like if someone's not reaching back or I don't hear back from them after I've reached out. So I have a 3-time rule. So like I'll reach out one time. If I don't hear anything back from you, I'll reach out one more time. If I don't hear anything back, I'll reach out a 3rd time. On that 3rd time, I have this message that I've kind of already prepared in my mind. Like, okay, listen, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know if you lost touch, lost interest, or if I said something that upset you. If I did, my apologies there. But this, I'm going to back off. I'm going to pump the brakes because it's clear that there's no interest, on your part. And so I will completely back away from that at that point. I say this is the last time I'll reach out. So I make it known that that's what it's going to be. But then what has happened is there have been instances where I have sent that message or I have reached out to people and they still don't respond, but I'll see them out somewhere. And when I see them out somewhere, they're a ghost. So I don't see you. I don't know who you are. I will have peeped you way before I got into wherever I'm going, and I will not even look in your direction. That happened just recently I went to breakfast with a friend and a guy that I had met here. And, we had gone out, maybe we went on a date actually. And then we met up a couple more times, and cool guy. And I was like, okay, well, let's see, what happens here. And he just kind of stopped talking, stopped reaching back, stopped talking to me. And I said, okay, cool. So I went to breakfast with a friend, and I saw him with another friend of his that was in the restaurant, and I completely didn't look in his direction. He was right behind me in the line as we were paying to go out. I didn't turn around. He walked right behind me as we were going out. I just kind of pushed the door back, and I heard him say, "Thank you." And I just said, "Uh-huh." And I kept moving. So I was like, "Nah, you're a ghost, sir. I don't know who you are anymore. Since you ghosted me, let me return that favor."
The same energy. Yeah. Nobody is that busy.
No.
Nobody is that busy. If a man is interested in you, he is going to call you. He's going to set up time to see you. He is going to let you know. If someone is even still trying to figure out, like on the fence, if you're a good fit, they're going to still try to pursue you and schedule and see something. If someone has doubt or has moved on or is not serious about you, or like, they're going to play that game. Because that's what it is. They're like, oh, I'll let you reach out to me. I'll talk to you next week, next month. No. Yeah. It's a waste of time.
Yeah. So it was. So I was like, okay. I mean, and I'm about dating. I don't have a problem with dating. And that's another thing that's really interesting when I'm having conversations with people is I'm like, if somebody says, okay, well, what are you looking for? Which is one of the standard lines on the on the app. What are you looking for? And it's like, okay, I'm dating. And so what some people equate that to is dating exclusively. And it's like, no, exclusively dating means me and someone else have come into some sort of agreement or made some sort of arrangement with each other that we are going to see each other. Dating means, okay, I'm getting to know people, I'm meeting people, I am engaging, I'm feeling energy, all of those things. And some people just don't understand that. They think, oh, you're dating somebody. And I'm like, no, that's not what I said.
No, it's like I'm trying to get to know you, and I might be trying to get to know somebody else. It doesn't mean we're having sex. Right. It means I'm still single until you take me off the market.
Everybody's single until that point.
Yes.
Until that point, yeah. But some people just don't understand.
I think there's a difference though between like I think guys might have a concern if they feel like they're part of if you're dating a football team versus like 3 or 4 guys. Like if you're dating 10, 15 guys, then they're like, wait a minute, you don't have the energy, the time to actually get to know me. So that will be the concern that if you're dating way too many guys.
Okay. And that kind of was something I was going to bring up a little later on, but also, could it also mean, so let's say you are dating a person that's juggling a reasonable amount of people, whatever that number is, for whomever is watching this or listening in your mind, whatever is a reasonable number.
I have a number. I have a number.
Whatever that number is, and you are
I'd
only
like
dating
to hear that number.
one person. How should the person that's only dating you, when you're juggling that number, feel, because they also have the opportunity to juggle more than one person, they just are not right now. And sometimes I feel like people get a little jealous because the other person has more choice and they currently only have eyes for you, type of deal.
So when it's new, no one owes each other exclusivity, right? So if that other person is only dating you and you're dating however number of people that you're dating, you may need to tell that person or remind that person that the two of you are not exclusive. And that doesn't have to be in a rude way. And it needs just to be like, hey, I went on a date last week. I'm not going to share details with you about it, but I did go on a date last week. And then, hey, I want to see you. I want to hang out with you because I really enjoy. And then you are going to have the conversation about like what milestones or what do you need to experience or how much time do you all need to stay in this phase before you make it exclusive. Because then you will give the person tangible things that you all have to experience and achieve before you get to the now it's just us. If you're just aimlessly dating, then the person doesn't know what they have to do to lock you down. Yeah, and that number of people I think you should date is no more than 3.
Okay.
If you were
the Son and the Holy Ghost.
Yeah, no more than 3, because you can't literally like dating is time, energy, and money.
It's bandwidth, and if you don't have the bandwidth for that, let's be real. What quality of relationship are you building if you're juggling 5, 6 guys? Like what are you doing?
You're not taking anybody serious. So it's okay to like drop somebody off, pick somebody up, and then really pick out of these 3 people who's a good fit and try to make it work. But you got to drop people at some point.
Because it should definitely be somebody out of that 5 that it ain't gonna work. And don't string that person along. Put that person back out into the pool so they can be picked up by someone else.
Agreed.
Okay. All right. Well, you heard it here, people. The number is 3. The magic number is 3. So, yeah, it's just 3. And again, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. So those 3. All right. Jeff, you had a question about multiple people and managing feelings. You want to ask that?
Well, and so it kind of goes back to the question that I just asked, which was, or basically that was, it. So, at what point should that person start breaking? You mentioned about the different milestones, this, that, and the other. So if a person is dating more than one person, or that they've got juggling and all that, is there any type of like a general milestone that a person should kind of look for to say that, hey, this person could be the one out of these 3?
Right. So too often people don't write down what they want in a person and the type of relationship that they want. Once you do that in your dating process, you should be asking questions. Like if finances are really big for you in a relationship, as you're dating that person, you should listen how they talk about money. You should listen and observe how they spend their money. You should see like where if they're traveling, if they're asking for money, like you see all this things that you're trying to see. If that's important to you, if spirituality is important to you, you might want to hear them, hey, can we pray together? Or, hey, can we go to the temple? Can we go to church? Can we go to the synagogue? Oh, there's this holiday. There are things, if that's important to you, you have to experience that with that person, not just fucking, because that's what people just be. They focused on that, like, that's
the experience there, right? That's not the experience.
Sex might be on the checklist. You might, if sex is important to you, then y'all might need to have sex. However, there's more to a relationship than sex. Right? There's more to that. Okay, so you have to experience what you want in a relationship and not just focus on sex. And men do that, regardless of sexual orientation. Men do that all the time.
Okay. That's what's always difficult too, is that it's that carnal sort of thing that you've got, that urge you've got to meet. So you meet somebody, you're attracted, you enjoy their company, and then the next thing is like, all right, let me see what that mouth do, or what other orifices do, So
right. And I think there are 2 types of daters, and you have to figure out what type of dater you are. There are some people who will not move to the next level until like 3, 6, 12 months. They say, oh, I don't care what happens, what we do. We got to be together for 6 months before I lock things down, right? And if you're a time dater, that's what you do. You tell that person, if we can hang in there for 6 months, then we can be exclusive. Other people are experiential daters. And if that's who you are, you might need to experience
Me.
saying I love you, an argument, like you might have to experience certain things before you say this is the right one. And that can happen in a month, that can happen in 6 months, that can happen in 4 years. Right? There's no time associated with that. It's about having certain milestones and experiences.
Yeah, okay. I'll say for me, in a person that is more, I guess, experience based and less time based. Mm-hmm. Once I started to see, the qualities that does this person do this? Does this person do that? How do we get along? How do we talk? Are our dating ideologies the same? Mm-hmm. Once those things kind of come together for me, then I'm like, all right, we can go down this road and see where it takes us. Mm-hmm. Hopefully it's successful and it lasts more than a year or two and we're golden. But for me, I don't need time as a factor for me to decide that I'm going to be exclusive with someone.
Definitely.
Because I'm a person that believes in the sunk cost fallacy. I was dating someone, long story short, we dated for a long time. We were getting ready to break up. Oh, we were together so long. How are you going to say that we're going to waste all this time? No, I've already lost this time. I can't get it back. And the fact that we were together for a long time means nothing to me because I want to move forward on this relationship.
Yeah.
So once you kind of get out of that sunk cost, it's easier to look for the milestones, like you said, and the experiences so that you can, at least for me, my type of dating style, I can tell that, oh, this is a person that's of quality that I want to continue and lock down and see where it takes us.
Yeah, I like that. And I think some people stay in relationships because like, oh, we've been together for 5-10 years. People change. Mm-hmm. And if you are no longer, the two of you are no longer compatible and can't work to figure out things, it is okay to end that relationship, in a nice way and move on. It doesn't mean either of you are bad people. It just means you grew to be two different people. And it's okay to end that relationship in a way that you can not hurt each other's feelings. Well, you're going to hurt a little bit, but for you to move on in life and not look at it as a failure.
Yeah. That's I like what you said about the two types of dating. I was listening to your criteria for each, and I'm trying to figure out which one I would fall into. I feel like I'm more of a time dater. I'm a person that I do want to experience things, but I want to give it time before I can actually say, okay,
yes,
this is what it is. All right, this is what it is. Because I've experienced so many instances where you think it's going in one direction and then it just completely shifts and you're like, okay, well, wait, why did it shift? What happened here? Okay, so maybe what I need to do is maybe I was moving too fast. Maybe I just need to kind of back off a little bit. So let me give it this amount of time to make sure that we're both on the same page, et cetera. So yeah, I think I'm more time based. Like I need to kind of see some things for a little bit, but I want to engage. I want to interact. I want to be in your. I want to be the extension in your world, but I need to be that extension for a little bit of time.
Yeah, you're looking for consistency, and then you're also to looking for changes in the person,
right?
And if you're okay with that,
okay. Good, having revelations tonight. I love it. So I think we talked about. Oh, go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead.
I wanted to kind of go back to a little bit of an earlier talking point that we had. So as people are on the journey of looking for their end game guy, their relationship, this, that, and the other, also navigating that field, we all have urges, like we mentioned before. How does one manage dating, looking for someone, and hooking up, having casual sex? Is it okay to be out here dating and having a set group of people, or not even a set group, just having, hey, these are my castaways, quote unquote. I don't want to date these people, but I'm cool with hooking up with them, or still, I'm about to go on this boys trip to wherever. and I want to have some fun. But when I get back, I'm gonna still be looking for people to date. How do we navigate that?
Oh, Jeff, are you a Gemini?
I can't wait to hear this.
I am not.
So here's
I'm a Scorpio for the record.
Okay,
but I'm not in this world. This is just a question that I wanted to put out there.
Here's the thing: like, if marriage is your goal, if a long-term relationship is your goal, and you are between the ages of 30 and 45, you need to make that your goal. I mean, like, if that is the goal, of course you can have fun, but you need to prioritize being the best version of yourself, prioritizing meeting guys that are compatible and entertaining them and seeing if it will work. Too often, guys, they just want to play the field. I just want to have fun. I want to do this. And bro, you 60 now. Now you're trying to settle down with somebody.
Okay. Because I was about to say, I was like, you stopped at 45 and we're aged out, Jeff.
Listen, most gay men get married between 30 and 45. That's when most gay men get married. It's older for gay men. Heterosexual men get married younger.
Right.
Like it's much younger. Yeah. We're a little different. We spend our 20s focusing on career, having fun, figuring out what we want sexually, sowing your wild oats, do all that. Listen, you keep spending your time. People can tell. People can tell by the level of energy that you can put into someone emotionally if you are having sex with multiple people all over the place, and then you come have a conversation with another guy, and they're like, "You just trying to smash." You're like, "Well, this has been working for me." Having sex with a person, like getting them into the bedroom, is a different muscle than trying to actually court somebody and get to the heart and core of who they are. Those are two different things, two different muscles that you have to use. And if you're only using the muscle of hooking up with guys, trying to court somebody, you're not strong at that yet. You're not strong at that.
Okay.
Figurative muscle and literal muscle.
Question was...
you can wear both of those muscles out, the front and the back.
And,
okay.
And there you have it.
Exactly. Yeah, so that question was more so, wasn't for me, just for, it was basically for the audience, because I know that someone in the audience has been wondering about that, or they may be even experiencing that right now, and are kind of like, oh, I don't know how to really do this, if this is something that I should be doing. And like you said, giving that age range was perfect for me, because it makes perfect sense. At that age, you need to be trying to figure out, hey, look, my tomorrows aren't as many as my yesterdays. I need to figure out what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. And I think that the people fear that if they say, hey, I don't want to just have casual sex anymore, so I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on dating guys who want to date with intention. The fear is that there are moments that they are going to be alone. There are moments that it's going to be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday night that they are sitting home alone, and they can't deal with it. They can't sit in that space where, oh, well, let me just get on an app and get a quick hookup. If I promise you, if you take a break from that while you're in that phase of dating with intention, it will make you long and hunger for intimacy with someone. I'm not saying be a prude, because that is not what I push, right? You want to have casual sex, have it. I'm not saying you have to be monogamous, poly, agreements, none of that. Be what works well for you. But I'm saying if your goal is something, you have to put all your energy into it.
Agree. I agree.
Okay.
And embrace the loneliness. Embrace it.
Yeah, it's okay to be alone, or at least take some of that time while you are alone and work on things you want to work on, because we all should have a hobby, a TV show we want to stream, a book we need to read.
Or just embrace it and sit in it. It is okay. It is okay not to get distracted with other things. It is okay to say, yeah, I'm lonely. I'm bored. I'm horny. Okay. I'm going to take care of that all by myself.
Yeah, I hear that all the
You
time.
can handle all three of those by yourself.
That's true.
And most often, that's what happens. As a callback, to these muscles potentially being worn out, should sexual positions stop a person from dating someone altogether?
Only so when it comes to gay men, sexual positions, sexuality is a key or a core measure of compatibility, right? So if you're a strict top or a strict bottom, yes, you should, on your first few interactions, probably your first interaction, get that out the way. Like, especially if you're meeting someone in a dating profile, are you a strict top? Are you a strict bottom? I need to know because I don't want to waste my time. If you're a little bit more flexible, a little more versatile, then yes, that opens the door for you because you're like, hey, we can make this work because I'm okay with some fluid relations.
Some fluid and fluids.
Yes. There you go.
There you go.
So my question with that. All right. So there's a lot of people will say that, hey, I am a bottom. If my man needs me to top, I will do it. But I only do that if I'm in a relationship with them or vice versa, you know. And sometimes, you know, people will be like, I'm not going to do anything with that part of my body. No one's going inside that part of my body. It's always going to be this. It's always going to be that. But I feel that we're all men. And I feel like there's always going to be that urge where the person is going to want to use their male organ. And I don't know. I just kind of feel like there should be a little bit of flexibility, but I totally get it if someone is like, hey, I'm a top and I'm not bottoming for anyone unless that is my man. Makes sense. I get it.
Yeah, so I ask people questions. Like if someone says, hey, I'm a strict bottom, I'm like, okay, well, tell me more about that. Like, do you prefer to be a strict bottom because your penis doesn't get hard? So that's your default? Because if that's the case, there are medications to fix that, right? There might be a health issue where you need to, you know, work on, and then your penis can get hard. Or is it that you feel like if you penetrate another man, then you think less of him? He's no longer masculine. He's not the trait that you experience. So now you're turned off. And if that's the case, then I say, well, where'd you learn that from? Like, because you can unlearn that stuff because at the end of the day, you're gay. You whether you receiving or giving, you're a gay man, right?
Doing the bending or getting bent, it don't matter.
You're still a gay man, but I think
laying it low or spreading it wide.
You got to challenge your views about like masculinity and some of that internalized homophobia, right? Like why you choose to be a bottom, and then other people are just like, it just doesn't turn me on to penetrate a man. Okay, well, it is what it is, right? And then same thing with the guys who are like strict tops. They're like, oh, I'm the top, ain't nobody going back there. So I asked some questions. Is it that you don't actually know how to take dick, right? Like, is it that like you don't know how to prepare, you don't know what lube to use, you don't know how to relax? Like you could teach a guy that. I also asked like if there's past like childhood trauma or molestation, because sometimes people are like, nope, something happened early on, so nobody can go back there. Sounds like you need therapy, right? They also could be experiencing internalized homophobia where they're like, oh, if you're the top, you're the man in a relationship. And then I say, no, y'all both gay men, like you got to work on that. So those are questions I ask people who are like extremes on both ends.
And it could be that they just don't like it too. Those are valid reasons to me. I'm not the dating professional here. But someone could be like, hey, I tried it once. It was for me. I'm good. Don't want to do that again.
I'd be like, just because you tried it once, because I teach people actually how to, you know, bottom, and I teach guys how to top. And it's a whole process of figuring out about what's going on with your body, your past experiences, and there are ways to make it pleasurable if you're trying to be a little bit more flexible.
Okay. But the person has to be open to that idea. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Consent. We're all about consent.
Cool.
Oh yeah, they absolutely would have to be open. I mean, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, it could be they can't get open. That's part of the problem.
That's it.
And there are ways to open them up. There are ways. You just can't ram that thing in there.
Okay. So I have maybe like one kind of final question that I want to ask. What's your advice for overcoming dating burnout while trying to stay open to new connections?
Yeah. I think dating burnout is a reality that we all have to face, because if you are putting your heart out there, you're putting your time, your money, and your energy out there, and you're still finding that you're not getting what you want, it's okay to take a break for a month. Just like, hey, I'm going to take a break, maybe do some counseling, spend more time with friends, family members, pray, do whatever you need to do to recharge, but you got to get back out there. You got to get back out there. And it is about changing your mindset so that you can look for what you want. If you think all men are dogs or all gay men don't want monogamy, guess what? You're going to keep finding gay men that don't want monogamy. If you think all men are dogs, that's what you can keep on finding. If you think gay men are successful, beautiful, committed, that's what you're honing in on when you're going out to meet people, because now you have an eye for it. You know what it looks like. So you have to say what you want so that you can attract that. But it takes time. It takes time.
Because I run into people all the time that are they're completely done with dating. Like they do this whole I don't ever want to be in a relationship again. I'm not doing that again, and these are people who at their core are really good people and would make good partners for people, but they're just completely turned off from that. So I'm hoping that some of them will, maybe hear some of that and say, okay, look, just take a break, take a step back.
I always tell people, like, before I met my husband, I dated. I say I dated a lot, and guys would reject me. They would say, "Oh, you're too short, or you work too much, or you talk too loud." Like, there were all these different things about who I am that they were like, "No, they don't." They didn't want to be in a relationship with me. Some of them, I was like, "Oh, I want to be in a relationship with you," but they're like, "You're not my type." I am so happy that those guys rejected me. Because if they did not reject me, I would have spent time, months being in relationships with them and knowing it's not going to go anywhere. And I would have never met my husband. Right? My husband sees who I am. He's okay with my height. He's okay with my energy. You want someone who sees who the core of who you are, and your goals, your mission in life, and for them to say, "Oh, I want to sign up for that. I don't want to change you. I want you to be the best version of who you are, but who you are is what I want." You don't want to be something fake just to be like, "Oh, he's a nice dateable guy." No, be who you are. Let people reject you. Rejection has nothing to do with the value of who you are. It just means both of you see that there are areas where you're not compatible. Move the hell on and keep dating.
And be authentic, because you don't want to be the representative of yourself and then end up being unhappy, even if the relationship has been since 1993.
Yes. I had a friend who would change his personality based on the guy who he dated.
I've seen
6 months into the relationship, it always ended. He couldn't keep up the facade. He couldn't keep it up. Like, be who you are from the door.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's it. Lamont, do you have anything that you would like to plug?
I do one-on-one dating coaching sessions and matchmaking, regardless of where you live in the United States. I send guys on dates with guys who check all of their boxes. I never send anybody on a date with somebody who does not check all the boxes. So I've been doing that for 10 years and really helping guys get married. So if they're interested in that service, they can go to my website, betterwaytomeet.com. All the details are there.
All right. We'll have that pop up on the screen.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all of the wisdom and nuggets that you have given us here. You've made me think about a couple of things, the banter, the jokes, the laughs, all of that good stuff.
Yes.
So thank you. And hopefully, we can have you back on for, something else later, down the line. Maybe we're talking, instead of talking about dating, maybe we're talking about maintaining healthy relationships, something like that. So
Absolutely.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right. Cool. Well, Lamont, again, thanks from me too. We appreciate you showing up here and making the time to sit with the two of us here on Just Drawz. All right, family. Well, that's a wrap for this episode. We hope you felt the love, laughed a little, and maybe even learned something new tonight.
Now, remember, the conversation does not stop here. So follow us individually on social media and let us know your thoughts, share your stories, or just say what up, dope.
Until then, just be bold, just be beautiful, and most importantly, just be.
We'll catch y'all next time.
Peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Now be sure to like, share, and follow us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts, and Spotify at Just Drawz. That's JUSTDRAWZ. Until next time,